Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Don't forget to check out LearnXYZ-In for more great content just like this. So today we're going to be looking at something pretty wild, quantum computing. Specifically, we're diving into Microsoft's recent announcement of their Majorana 1 chip.
It's definitely a fascinating development.
So Microsoft is calling this Majorana 1 chip a big deal, and it's been making waves. What exactly is so special about it?
Well, this chip is not built with the usual silicon. They've used something completely new. It's called a topoconductor to create Majorana particles.
Majorana particles. Whoa. Okay, that sounds like some serious sci-fi stuff. Can you break that down for us? What are these particles?
Well, they are pretty exotic, but they're definitely real. Imagine a particle that's also its own antiparticle.
Okay, so like a mirror image of itself?
Yeah, kind of like a mirror image where the image and the original are the same thing. That's essentially a Majorana particle. Now you see in the quantum world, when a particle meets its antiparticle, they usually annihilate each other.
Right, they cancel each other out.
Yeah. But Majorana particles are both at the same time, which makes them incredibly stable.
So they're like quantum superheroes.
Uh-huh. You could say that.
What does this mean for computing, though?
So this is where topological qubits come in. Qubits, you see, are the building blocks of quantum computers.
Like bits in our regular computers.
Exactly. But current qubits are incredibly fragile, prone to errors from the slightest interference. But topological qubits, which are built using these Majorana particles, are much more robust.
So it's like having a computer that's almost immune to crashing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's a total game changer. So Microsoft is using these super stable qubits, and their plan is to eventually fit 1 million of them on a single chip.
That's right. 1 million topological qubits on a single chip.
Wow. That's a leap in processing power, unlike anything we've ever seen. What kind of problems could we even begin to tackle with that much power?
Oh, we could start solving problems that are impossible even for today's most powerful supercomputers.
Like what?
Think simulating complex molecules to design new life-saving drugs or predicting financial markets with incredible accuracy. We're talking about problems that would normally take classical computers billions of years solved in maybe hours.
Wow. So this isn't just about faster computers. It's a whole new way of solving problems.
Exactly. And the impact goes way beyond the theoretical. This has massive implications for tons of industries.
So, like what specifically? Paint me a picture. How could this actually change things?
We'll take pharmaceuticals, for example. Imagine designing drugs with a way higher success rate or even personalized medicine tailored to your specific genes. With quantum simulations, we can actually see how molecules interact at the atomic level. That would lead to more efficient and precise drug discovery.
That would be absolutely revolutionary for medicine. What other fields could be transformed by this?
Finance is another big one.
Yeah, I bet.
Quantum computers could create incredibly accurate models to assess risk and optimize investments, maybe even predict market crashes. It could totally change how Wall Street works.
Wow, so we're potentially talking about an earthquake for the financial world. What other industries should we be keeping an eye on?
Well, energy is a huge area ripe for disruption. Imagine batteries that last 10 times longer or solar panels that capture energy way more efficiently. Quantum computers could be the key to designing those new materials. It could pave the way for a much more sustainable future.
Okay, this is all incredibly exciting, but what about the potential downsides? I've heard some concerns about quantum computing and security. Is that something to be worried about?
Yeah, that's a very valid concern. I mean, quantum computers are powerful enough to break many of the encryption methods we use today to secure our data. That could have huge implications for cybersecurity and privacy. It's definitely a serious issue.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, you could say that.
The potential for both amazing advancements and some serious risks, too.
Right, but the good news is quantum computing can also be used to create new, unbreakable encryption methods. So it's a bit of an arms race, but it could lead to much stronger security in the long run.
Okay, so we have this incredibly powerful technology with the potential to revolutionize pretty much everything. But let's be realistic for a second. How far away are we from actually seeing these kinds of world-changing impacts?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Building and scaling these quantum computers is still incredibly complex. Even with Microsoft's breakthrough, there are major challenges ahead.
Like what? What are the big hurdles we still need to overcome?
Well, one of the biggest is maintaining what's called qubit coherence. Remember how we talked about those fragile qubits?
Yeah.
Well, even the more stable topological qubits can lose their quantum properties over time, and that introduces errors into calculations. We need to figure out how to keep them coherent for much longer periods if we want to do really complex computation.
What else? What are some other challenges researchers are dealing with?
Controlling errors is another huge one. Even with topological qubits, errors are going to happen. So we need to develop some seriously sophisticated error correction techniques to make sure those quantum computations are accurate. It's a bit like trying to build a house of cards in a hurricane.
That sounds pretty tough. So there's still a lot of work to be done before we see quantum computers just humming away in our homes and offices. But what about Microsoft's progress so far? What's the real significance of this Majorana 1 chip?
Well, it's a huge proof of concept. They've shown that it's actually possible to build a processor with these topoconductors and topological qubits. And the fact that they're already talking about scaling up to 1,000,000 qubits, that's incredibly ambitious. It shows they're really serious about this technology.
It definitely seems like they're all in. But what about the competition? Are other companies working on similar breakthroughs in quantum computing?
Oh, absolutely. This is a full-blown race, and it's not just the tech giants like Google, IBM, and Intel. There are a ton of startups and research institutions making major strides in the field.
So it's a global race to quantum supremacy. Are there other approaches being explored? Are there other types of qubits besides these topological ones?
Yeah, there are definitely a few other leading qubit technologies out there. Superconducting qubits are one of the most common. They're based on the idea that certain materials can conduct electricity with zero resistance at really low temperatures. Another approach is using trapped ions, which are basically atoms that have had some electrons stripped away and then held in place by electromagnetic fields.
So it sounds like there's no clear winner in the quantum computing race yet. Everyone's kind of betting on different approaches.
Exactly. And each approach has its own strengths and weaknesses. Like superconducting qubits are pretty well understood, but they're more prone to errors. Trapped ions are incredibly stable, but they can be slower and harder to scale up.
So it's like the Wild West of computing out there, with everyone trying to stake their claim to the quantum frontier. With all this activity happening, what applications of quantum computing have you the most excited? What are you personally looking forward to?
Well, beyond the obvious ones we've already talked about, like drug discovery, finance, and energy, there's a whole universe of possibilities out there. Personally, I'm really fascinated by the potential of quantum computing in materials science.
Material science? How so?
Well, imagine being able to design materials with specific properties at the atomic level. We could create entirely new materials with incredible strength, conductivity, or heat resistance.
Wow.
It would revolutionize everything from electronics and manufacturing to construction and transportation.
It's like we would have the power to sculpt reality itself at the most fundamental level.
Okay.
What else is on your radar in terms of potential quantum breakthroughs?
Another area I'm super excited about is artificial intelligence. Quantum computers could revolutionize machine learning. Give us AI systems that are orders of magnitude more powerful than anything we have today. Imagine AI that can solve super complex problems, make decisions, and learn at a superhuman level.
That's both incredibly exciting and a little bit unsettling.
Yeah.
So we're stepping into the realm of science fiction.
It definitely has that future is now feeling. But remember, like any really powerful technology, it comes with risks. We need to be very mindful of the potential consequences, both positive and negative, and we have to make sure we're developing and using this technology responsibly.
Absolutely. We need to approach this new frontier with both excitement and caution. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to our listeners. What does all this mean for the average person? Should we all be rushing out to learn quantum physics right now?
Well, I don't think everyone needs to become a quantum physicist, but having even a basic understanding of this technology and its potential impact is going to be more and more important in the coming years. Quantum computing is likely to touch many aspects of our lives, and those who are informed and prepared will be better equipped to navigate the changes.
That makes a lot of sense. What's one thing our listeners could do today if they want to start learning more about quantum computing?
Well, there are a ton of great resources available online, articles, videos, even online courses. And if you want to really dive deep and stay ahead of the curve, you should definitely check out LearnXYZ-In.
Yeah, they got some fantastic content on quantum computing and tons of other fascinating topics.
Yeah, they break down really complex topics into easy-to-understand pieces. You don't need a PhD to get it.
It sounds like LearnXYZ.in is the place to be for anyone who wants to understand this quantum revolution.
Yeah.
But back to Microsoft, it's not just about the hardware, is it? They're also building a whole ecosystem around this technology, right?
You got it. Yeah, they've got this cloud-based platform called Azure Quantum, which basically gives people access to all sorts of quantum computing resources.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, from different types of hardware to software tools for developers.
So even if you don't have like billions of dollars to build your own quantum computer,
Right.
you can still kind of play around with this technology through Azure Quantum.
Exactly. It's like a playground for anyone who wants to explore the possibilities of quantum computing, no matter what their budget is.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a really smart move by Microsoft to democratize access like that. And they've also created a quantum programming language called Q-Sharp, Q-Stack,
Okay.
which is specifically designed for developing quantum algorithms.
So they're building the whole toolkit, from the hardware to the software and programming languages. They're really going all in on this, huh?
It definitely seems that way. They're putting their money where their mouth is and investing heavily in research and development for quantum computing. It's not just some side project for them. It's a core part of their future strategy.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that they see this as a game changer. But let's shift gears a bit. What about the ethical implications of all this? Quantum computing has the potential to be so powerful, which means it could also be misused, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's a crucial point. Like any powerful technology, quantum computing comes with a responsibility to use it ethically and thoughtfully. We need to really think about the potential consequences, both positive and negative, and make sure that we're using this technology for the benefit of humanity.
Yeah, it's like we're holding this key to a door that leads to all these incredible possibilities, but we need to make sure we're using that key wisely. We can't just barge in without thinking about what could go wrong.
Exactly. We need to approach this with a sense of responsibility and foresight. It's not just about what we can do with this technology, it's about what we should do. We need to have some open and honest conversations about the ethical implications and develop safeguards to prevent misuse.
It's like the early days of the internet, where we had this amazing tool that connected the world, but we didn't fully understand or grasp the potential for things like cybercrime and misinformation and privacy violations. We need to learn from those mistakes and approach quantum computing with a more, holistic and ethical perspective from the start.
Absolutely. We need to anticipate those potential problems and work proactively to mitigate them. And we need to involve ethicists and social scientists and policymakers in the conversation from the beginning, not as an afterthought.
It sounds like we need a global conversation about the responsible development and deployment of quantum computing. We need to make sure this technology is used for good and not for harm.
100% agree. It's a conversation that needs to happen now, not later. We can't afford to wait until the genie's out of the bottle. We need to establish clear guidelines and regulations to make sure this technology is used ethically and responsibly.
It's a daunting task, for sure, but it's one we can't shy away from. The future of quantum computing and maybe even the future of humanity really depends on it. So with that in mind, what's one key takeaway you'd want our listeners to remember about the ethical implications of this technology?
I think the most important thing to remember is that quantum computing isn't just a technological revolution. It's a societal one. It's going to have an impact on all of us, and we all have a role to play in shaping its future. We need to have these thoughtful and informed conversations about the ethical implications and work together to make sure this technology is used for the benefit of all.
That's a powerful message. We need to remember that we're not just passive observers in this quantum revolution. We're active participants, and the choices we make today are going to determine the world we create tomorrow.
Exactly. It's not just about building bigger and faster computers. It's about building a better future for everyone. And that requires, careful consideration, ethical decision-making, and a commitment to using this technology for good.
So we've talked about the incredible potential of quantum computing, the challenges ahead, and the ethical considerations we need to be thinking about. It's pretty clear this technology is going to have a profound impact on the world. But with all this information to digest, what's one key insight you want our listeners to walk away with?
If I had to boil it down to one key takeaway, it'd be this. Quantum computing is not just science fiction anymore. It's a rapidly evolving reality, and it's going to change the world as we know it. It's up to us to make sure those changes are for the better.
That's a great point. We can't just sit back and wait for the future to happen to us. We need to actively shape it. We need to stay informed, engaged, and involved in the conversation about quantum computing and how it's going to impact society.
Exactly. We need to be curious, critical thinkers, and responsible stewards of this technology. We need to educate ourselves, engage in dialogue, and advocate for ethical development and deployment.
So with all that said, what's one practical step our listeners can take today to get more involved in this quantum revolution?
I think the best place to start is by just learning more about the technology itself. The more you understand about quantum computing, the better equipped you'll be to participate in that conversation about its future. And of course, I'd recommend checking out LearnXYZ-In for some great resources on this and so many other cutting-edge topics.
Absolutely. LearnXYZ.in is a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to the world of technology. They do a great job of taking complex concepts and breaking them down into easy-to-understand explanations. You don't need to be a PhD to get it. So we've covered a lot of ground here. The incredible potential of quantum computing, the challenges ahead, and the ethical considerations we need to be thinking about. It's obvious this technology is going to change the world in big ways. But for our listeners out there, how can they stay ahead of the curve?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious and engaged. Quantum computing is a field that's constantly changing. What we know today could be totally different tomorrow. Just keep learning, keep asking questions, and don't be afraid to dig into the details. There's so many resources available, books, articles, online courses, even just following the news and keeping up with the latest developments.
It's like we're explorers setting sail for a brand new world.
Exactly.
We have no clue what we're going to find, but that's what makes it so exciting.
And the best part is we're not just watching this happen. We're active participants. The choices we make today, the conversations we have, the questions we ask, they all shape the future of this technology and how it impacts our world.
So it's not just about understanding the science, it's about actually shaping the future.
Yeah.
It's about thinking critically about the implications of this technology and making sure it's used for good.
Absolutely. And that starts with each and every one of us. It's about having those difficult conversations, thinking through the ethical challenges, and advocating for responsible development and deployment. It's about making sure that this incredible power is used to help humanity, not hurt it.
So let's wrap up on a thought-provoking note. What's one question that our listeners should ask themselves about quantum computing, something for them to ponder, as they go about their day?
Here's something to think about. If you had access to a quantum computer, what problem would you try to solve? What challenge would you tackle that's just completely impossible right now? Think about the possibilities in your own field, in your community, even in your own life. Quantum computing has the potential to unlock solutions that we can't even imagine right now. So just let your imagination run wild.
That's such a great question. It really highlights how powerful and how much potential this technology has. So to sum things up, if you're fascinated by quantum computing and you want to stay ahead of the curve, be sure to visit LearnXYZ.in. They've got in-depth articles, videos, and other resources. It's the perfect place to kickstart your quantum journey.
Couldn't agree more. LearnXYZ.in is a fantastic resource. It doesn't matter what you're interested in, they probably have something that'll blow your mind.
And that's a wrap for today's deep dive. We hope you found this exploration of quantum computing informative and interesting. What are your thoughts on this groundbreaking technology? What are you most excited about? Share your reactions in the comments, like this podcast, and subscribe to the channel. And hey, don't forget to check out LearnXYZ.in for more deep dives into the world of tech and beyond. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.